Hello, everybody. Good. It feels like it's good evening. We're late and it's painful, but we are late. It's what it is. It's live, and I'm so chuffed to have you guys on board. I hope that can see that people are coming in gradually. I really apologize for the late start. Needless to say, you've been waiting because the viewer count is growing once I went live. But I trust you're well. It's another month. It's our live Q&A, the channel's live Q&A. And we are continuing the format that we have been using for a long time now. And like I do each month, lower the music, Lawrence. Okay, so we have a guest. I'm just going to cut straight into it. We have a guest with us today who, by the special grace of God, is going to share her experiences, her internet journey, as it pertains, because again, remember we're looking at safeguarding our kids. So we're going to look at it from a mother's perspective. For at least 7 months now, we have been looking at it from the child or the children's perspective. And we had a business lady join us, but now we're engaging with a mother. And I'm emphasizing on the mother because mothers get a very bad rap about their internet experiences, internet journey, full stop. And I'm daring you to stay with us because you will see that there is a twist, there is a difference, and it may change your mind about certain things because we can, put in enough effort to make sure that our kids are doing well, are healthy on the internet. And it's not rocket science. A mother is a mother. If a mother in the kitchen, a mother in the house, the family, the one who dresses the home really does have strengths when it pertains to internet. And I'm hoping I've not put our guest under too much pressure, but I have known her for quite a while, very long while. And it gladdens my heart to have her accept the invite to attend our channel's live Q&A. Without further ado, I'm going to invite Morin Carew to the broadcast. Morin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, good to see you. Good to see you.
Thanks.
I also apologize for the late start. I don't know what has happened, but it happened. Actually, I do know what has happened, but we couldn't tidy it up in time for the live. But it's good that at least you're hearing me and I can see you and you can hear me. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you again for accepting the invite to come on and be a part of what we're trying to do in the life of our kids. It's no surprise that you are on because I really feel that you have a special, I would say a special story to share with the community as we go through the questions one by one. You're a mother primarily, and I've made sure that everybody knows that. But you have other things that the community are not aware about or aware of, and I will love you if it's okay to share what makes Morin Carew tick.
Are you sure you have enough time to actually get to know what makes me tick?
I do.
I wear so many hats, but I thank God. Do you want me to go ahead and talk about myself now?
Please do. Please.
So hello, viewers. My name is Morin Carew. And like Lauren said, we've known each other like, oh my goodness, so many years. I mean, we're talking over 20, 25 years, but we thank God for where he's brought us to. So Morin Carew, what makes you tick? Who are you? First of all, I'm a child of God. I thank God that I gave my life to Christ at an early age. And here I am still growing in the knowledge of the Lord. And I am a wife and I am a mother. And my what else do I do? Okay, because I'm wearing my mother's hat now. I'm beginning to forget a lot of things about myself. But I'm an entrepreneur. I run a management consultancy firm for charities and non-profit organizations, and I am a leadership coach as well. So I wear that hat. The other hat that I wear is a ministry hat. I run an organization called God's Own Women Ministries, and basically just to create a platform for women to come together to encourage each other, as mothers, as wives, as entrepreneurs, as artists, whatever hat you may be wearing, just to create that safe place for women to come together, share, lift each other up, encourage each other, and where the opportunity comes, create opportunities for other mothers to, be elevated. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you, Lawrence.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, yes. In fact, you just reminded me. 25 years, and that is true because our eldest is 28 this year. If I've got it wrong, he's going to kill me. 96, 96. Yeah. So I've known you. Obviously, I knew you before. He's 27.
Exactly.
Today is 27, so we'll leave it at that. Whatever it is in my head, I stand corrected, and I'll do my calculations later. But I've known you for a while, and I've seen your journey. I've seen the mother in you. Even before you got married, there was a mother in you. You mothered us when we were in the worship team, and you kept us really focused. Needless to say, that has translated in your family life. And it's really, really, really beautiful to see. Okay, so thank you for that intro. We're going to go to the questions. Full disclosure to the channel, so they know that we're not micromanaging this. I set the questions, you give the answers, and you are as real as it needs to be for the benefit of those just visiting or those who are already a part of the community. So we're going to go to the question sheet. And then we'll go through the questions one by one. Okay, so our first question. Would you say your internet journey, and that's the internet journey as a mother, your internet journey was smooth? And if so, how have you and those connected to you benefited?
Okay. So I would say it was smooth. The reason being, I consider myself as an older mom. I gave birth to my firstborn, I think, when I was 39 or so. The reason why this is relevant is because it had given me time to actually get into the internet world long before I became a parent. And so by the time I started having my children, I was already established on the internet. And so I saw it as an advantage because I could help them to navigate their journey on the internet. Having said that, though, they quickly overtook me. And possibly maybe that's where the challenges would come. So before I became a parent, like I said, I got married later in life and then had children later in life. So my first experience with the internet was quite scary. I came back to England because I was born here. And then my parents took me back like most of us. And the first time I saw a computer, let alone go on to the internet, was when I came here. I quickly realized that I couldn't get a job without, knowledge of computing. And I'd never even seen a desktop before in my life. And I'm sure it will be the same with so many of us. I remember in the university days, those of our mates that were studying computing, they would have to queue up, and they used to describe this big machine where they are going to punch things and what. I never saw it, but the gory stories that I heard, kind of like I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not in that world. So coming here, seeing the computer for the first time, I remember there was one day, so I had to go for a computing course, basically. and to get to understand what a PC looks like, how it works, and all that. And it was in the days of DOS. I mean, can you imagine those big things? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! So I so it was a scary journey at that time. So I was so grateful that I had become, quite acquainted with, computers and the internet before the children started coming along. So
Mm.
from that perspective, as a mother, it wasn't too scary because I had had my shocks, and I'd had time to sort of settle into the internet by the time the children came. So from that perspective, I was able to help them, with their homework, finding out things. I remember especially when they're doing history and they'll be talking about Victorian days. I mean, I wasn't here, so no clue. So you have
Yeah.
to go to the internet to go and, fish out this information. So I had gotten over my fear by the time I started having children. So from that perspective, it wasn't
All
too
right.
bad.
It
And the
wasn't too bad.
benefit, like I said, was that I was able to help my children with their schoolwork. And it was more or less both of us learning as well, because at that point in time, I suppose the confidence I brought in was because I'm an adult. So,
Mm.
you don't show your fear to your children, especially it's a cultural thing, isn't it? You don't want
It
your children
is.
to know you're vulnerable.
Mm.
So, but of course, it was a plus that I had gotten into the internet world anyway before they came along. But like I said, even though I was quite used to going on the internet, I wasn't used to searching per se because there was nothing to search for. I wasn't schooling at the time, so that sort of a thing.
Mm.
So it meant that both of us, as in my children and I, were learning together, and so yeah, that's my story. Getting into the internet.
No, that's perfect. So I'm putting myself in your shoes somewhat, and I can see how that education that you kind of forced yourself to
Mm,
get under your belt has benefited you, no doubt. And I feel that mothers generally are not that savvy when it comes to doing those things, because you did hint about how intimidating it can be to show your vulnerability before your kids, but I sense from your own engagement that you didn't really care about that. You cared that they were empowered by you on all fronts,
absolutely.
internet being one of those. So making yourself better, seeking
Hmm.
education and
Hmm.
knowledge, so that those things are no longer intimidating but
That's right.
empowering.
Yeah.
Because whether we like it or not, the internet is a tool, and it's
Yeah.
a tool that we are all using today. And so
Hmm.
you've definitely benefited from it, and I'm pretty chuffed that you shared that to the community. So any mother who is out there who feels vulnerable, or not vulnerable, intimidated by their inabilities or lack of, honestly, you can do courses online these days that will just get you to a standard where you can
Hmm.
communicate freely with your young one. And
Absolutely.
that's what we want. That's definitely what
Hmm.
we want for the kids. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's a good start. A good start, and I thank you for that perspective. So we'll go to question number two. Our question number two, you've already hinted, if the journey, let's see, if the journey, where are we? That's not what I want to be. Now I'm where I should be. If the journey was not smooth, like you kind of hinted, what were the challenges? Would you say that it was difficult? Would you say that it was smooth sailing? Did you have to go hard on the kids? Did you have to go hard on yourself, your husband? What were the challenges, if any?
Right. So, like I said, I had been introduced to the internet anyway before I became a parent. I remember when I was doing my postgraduate, and I did it on international public relations, meaning you have to be out there knowing what's going on in the society. So I had to get to get to grips with the internet. But during those periods, I know that I relied heavily on the younger students. I mean, they used to call me mom because I was the oldest in my class, and we were just two Black people. But of course, like you know me, you know I get along very well with people. So they took me under their wing, and I wasn't self-conscious. I knew I was in school to learn anyway, you know, and especially when you're doing a postgraduate course, you can't afford to be too self-conscious. You're there to learn, and I want to get my money's worth. So it meant that I had to lose my self-consciousness and get into it and, you know, sink or swim. And I decided I was going to swim. So that had helped me to get over the intimidation, you know, or the fear of, oh, what's going to happen. Because I remember one of the times when I was doing my course, my computing course, and I had typed something in. So I don't know, maybe my cursor moved and, you know, it was like, oh my God, all my work is gone. I still remember that fear today, you know. I'm like, oh my God. But it just helps me to remember how far the journey has been and how I have grown through that journey. So what were my challenges? By the time I became a mother, like I said, I'd conquered a lot of the fears that I had. The challenges for me were knowing the right places to source information, because I became very quickly aware that there are pros and cons to the internet. And I think one of the things that has also helped me in terms of being able to overcome the challenges was that even with ordinary media, my husband and I had come up with a set of values, and we had decided how much information we were going to expose the children to. So by the time the internet became a tool or a resource that the children would need to be exposed to,
you were ready.
We just kind of transferred or just brought those values into the internet. So it was more of reiterating to the children that these are the things you remember. With television, you're not allowed to watch this, you're not allowed to watch that. And so now in the internet, there are places on the internet that young people are not allowed to go to. And I really credit my husband because he's the techie person in the family. So I'm
he's always been.
He's the techie person.
Yeah.
He puts in all the safeguarding, for instance, on, you know, the PCs and all of that. And so when it comes to anything techie, he's the person to go to. But I was prepared to learn from him and from the children. So, you know, so he, you know, kind of lectured me. Well, I wouldn't say lecture because I don't want people to think that he sat me down. What I meant was he shared information with me very freely, you know, and made me understand, oh, I'm going to put these controls on, even with the television, you know. So the children already knew that we had boundaries. And it gladdens my heart because even in school, you know, we get reports that our children, you know, kept very well within the boundaries that we gave them. Even when they went to friends' houses. I remember a parent said to me, she said, oh, Auntie Morin, I'm very impressed. I showed the television, you know, a program, and your children said, we're not allowed, you know, that sort of a thing. So we were able to transfer whatever we had taught them with media anyway into the internet. So I think it really helped us with that journey in terms of what our children are exposed to on the internet. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And I kind of, when you started saying it, I almost saw some of the answers, rather remembered the answers you gave in the first question. And I remember that where you have given some answers in the question, that I'll move on to the next question. But somehow I was happy that I got you to repeat it because you added to it, which I feel the family or the community will definitely benefit from. Thank you for those that patient outline that you just gave us. Now, so it wasn't smooth. It will not always be smooth to those who are mothers on the platform, and fathers for that matter. It's not always going to be smooth. You're going to have, in fact, you're better the busier it is, or the less easy or difficult it is. The idea there is that you learn from either repetition, or you learn from digging in and knuckling down to get these things into you, so that you can use it while you engage with them on the internet. So no pain, no gain. I think that's that's the rule. Okay. All right. So we go to question 3, and again, if we touched on it, I'll move straight on to the next one. But question 3, definitely not moving on from this question. It's a beautiful question. Are you on social media? That's a silly question because I know you are. But if yes, what is your favorite social media platform and why?
Wow. This question, I'm going to take some time with it because I was a slow person on social media. I didn't get on. Actually, my sister forced me onto social media on my 40th birthday. She said to me, Big sis, look, all your friends are asking after you. And I'm tired of telling them you are alive. They're trying to get in touch with you. Can you just please come on the internet, on the social media? And I said, oh, I don't know. How am I going to navigate myself? I don't have the time. You know, the usual excuses that we all give. But bottom line is because this is a beast that I didn't understand. And you see, bias, prejudices, they thrive on ignorance. Ignorance, because the success that I have today by the grace of God, it cannot be without social media. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't want to own up that it was a beast that I was afraid of. I was just like, what's this thing about social Facebook? Because that was the most popular one at the time. What's this about Facebook? Everybody is on it. And then there was the thing of, shall I say, the religious community as well. And Lawrence, you both know we're Christians. You know, we've also been influenced by some feedback, negative feedback of the evils, the ills, and the dangers of social media. So you don't want to touch it. You know, you're just thinking this thing is going to eat up your time. They're parading things that are anti-Christian. It's going to open up, you know, doors to various things. And like I said, these are the things that perpetuate bias and prejudice. And so when my sister forced me, she actually signed me up to Facebook. My 40th birthday, almost 20 years ago. So some people can begin to understand, to calculate my age. I'm closer to 60 than 50 anyway. So she signed me on to this Facebook. And then people started contacting me. And then I made up my mind. I said, you know what? No matter what negative feedback or, you know, information I've heard about this, I can conquer this beast. I can use it for my own profit. You know, I don't have to go down the lane of whatever. Even before I went on it, you know, to accept it and start to use it, you know, and that's how I got onto Facebook. And as I prayed about it, I said, God, I've heard about this thing. Now that I've been thrust into this world, I need you to help me. And I think one of the things that has also helped me in life generally is the fact that I'm a very inquisitive person. You know, talking about the internet, I'm going to bring us back a little bit. When I was growing up, I lived on encyclopedia. Why? Because I love information. I love why these things, you know, how did this thing exist? How did, you know, my mom used to make fun of me that I could ask a married woman how she got pregnant. I mean, it's like, it's obvious, you know, you're a married woman, you will get pregnant if you know, that sort of a thing. So she used to say to me, you're too curious, you're too inquisitive. And I brought that into social media. So that's how I got into Facebook. And by the grace of God, like I said, I made up my mind I was going to use it to profit me, to benefit from it. And gradually, as I got used to it, tentatively, you know, like, what am I doing here? But I decided I was going to use it and make it mine. And in so doing, you know, I've met fantastic people online. My business has thrived, is still thriving. now I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I use WhatsApp a lot. Where else am I on? Twitter. For somebody who was thinking, and I've got groups on these platforms that we're talking about. And then by the time I went to do my MBA as well, I had no choice. I had to, get into the world of professionalism and, speak the language. I mean, can you imagine if I'm called to a board and I don't know how to navigate myself through social media? And especially, like in those, what social media has done, especially for businesses, was that at first it was a threat to businesses because people now had the freedom to talk about products. So it meant that businesses had to tighten up their practices.
Yep.
Power came back to us, the people. People power.
Yeah.
And I love that. Now you have to depend on reviews. So you can't just treat your customers anyhow. So it meant that everybody had to buckle up. I mean, I love that about the social media. So that was one of the challenges that businesses had. And but everybody is trying to make sure it's their friend and not their enemy. Yeah. And it just made, can you imagine? I remember there was I can't remember the terminology, where you will send a text message and people will just gather. I've forgotten the name. And there was one that, people gathered. I can't remember if it was a Waterloo station or whatever. And it just shows the power of social media. And so the message I want to pass across with this is there is no resource that there are no pros and cons to. You as a person need to make up your mind how you are going to use it. I mean, God created a perfect world. The enemy came and he, brought in evil.
Corrupted it.
And we see what it is. So exactly, he corrupted what God made. So what I'm trying to say in essence is no matter what it is, even this ordinary email, it can be corrupted. Well, it's part of the internet anyway, email and all of that, So there's nothing that won't be corrupted. You as a human being, as a person with choices, need to make up your mind and make a decision. How am I going to use this tool? Everything that God has made, everything that is in existence is a resource, is a tool. You have to determine how you're going to use it. A knife is fantastic in the kitchen, but it's horrible in the hands of a murderer. But the knife is just, a tool. It's a resource. It's something that was created for us to use positively. But people with evil intention will always use it negatively. It still it bugs my mind why some people will sit down and, talking about malware, for instance. Why would somebody want to make something that will break other people's, transmission? I just don't understand. So I'm just trying to say that we need to be open-minded. Yeah. Okay? Everything in life, even food, it can be used negatively and it can be used positively. So I want us to embrace the things that are going on, and that's why I mentioned bias and prejudice, because some of us listeners may have had, a lot of negative feedback about social media, how it eats your time, how, it exposes you to whatever. If on social media, say for instance, I'm on Facebook and they bring in an ad, I just take it off. This is not what I'm interested in. And I go on to do my business. And I transact my business. WhatsApp, for instance, I have various groups that I have created that I'm also a part of that have benefited me enormously. So we shouldn't allow the biases and the prejudices. There are pros and cons to everything in life. I hope I have answered the question.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. I'm so glad you took time to go over that. You've echoed a lot of things that the channel stands for. We see the benefits of the internet. And like we hinted earlier, the internet is a tool, but it could also be a weapon in the hands of the people who mean us harm. And I think where we come in as a channel is to bridge that gap for those parents who are too busy. You shouldn't be too busy, but those parents who are too busy to pay attention We make sure that you are not exposed to those who mean harm. And that's why we take the pain to release videos and get all that content to you. Please watch those videos on the portal so that you can empower yourself and so that you can choose well, choose right, to arm yourself to be of use to your young ones. Okay. That was exciting and refreshing. Thank you very much for that. So we go to question 4. And it's as an active mother. See, active there. I wish I had put it in capital, because as I hinted, you have been a mother even before you became a wife. To many of us who grew up in ministry, you know, and that I'm sure has held you in good stead. Yeah. So as an active mother, what age did you let the kids loose on the internet, if at all you did so? And would you say that they got online too early?
Okay, so I'm sure I hinted at the fact that we have family values. There are things, you know, and that really helped us, because right from television watching and gaming and all that, we had set those boundaries anyway. So when it came to the internet, you know, of course, you know, they went to school and they told them, do this homework. Google said you would have given them links. One of the things that my husband and I do is that we spend time with our children. And I'm glad that you mentioned about, you know, busy parents, if you don't, you know, spend time. For us, we made up our minds that television was not going to raise our children. Nannies. I know there are working parents, and both my husband and I work. But there are some choices that you have to make depending on what is important to you. Now, for us, and maybe what helped us was because we were older parents, like I said. So we've seen from maybe even our friends the mistakes they have made, for us to now make a decision that when we are raising our children, these are the boundaries that we are going to put in place. So by the time the children got introduced to the internet, because I would really say it was the school that introduced our children to the internet, and we were able to speak to them. Because I remember when, you know, as parents, most of us, we will tell our children, don't speak to strangers. It's the same thing. The internet have strangers too. So you have strangers in physical form. You have strangers in digital form on the internet. So we made our children aware that there are strangers that you are not supposed to talk to on the internet. And there has to be a little bit of trust. Now, our children have proven to us that we could trust them. Remember, I said earlier that even in school, our children will excuse themselves from certain programs because they will say, our parents have told us we are not allowed. Even when they go to our friends, they will tell my friends, you know, or, you know, church people, oh, mommy and daddy said we shouldn't do this. So this has helped our children when it came to the internet. They know what to say no to. And even growing up, I mean, my firstborn is going to be 21 in a few months. And my second is going to be 17. I hope he's not hearing me now that I can't remember. But what I'm saying is, even now that you will call them young adults, we are still watching them. We are still guiding them. Because my husband and I have that sense of responsibility that, you know, God has given us these children and we need to guide them. And one of the things that we let our children know is that no matter how savvy, world savvy you may be, you know, streetwise you may be, we've been around longer than you. And our role as caretakers of you is to guide you to that place where by the time you leave home, you know, I was saying to my firstborn, I said, you know what the eagle does? It drops the child from, you know, the baby eagle from the top of
tough love.
God help me, you can't. So I said, at least I would have done my part, and I would trust God that you will not crash land, you know. But what I'm trying to say is spending time with your children is so important, and letting them know that there are strangers on the internet as well. So that has really helped us. So I wouldn't say that we let them on too early, because like I said, it was really the school that introduced them to it, and then we just guided them, their use of it. And of course the parental controls, like I said, my husband is the techie person, so all of that, and from time to time, even their phone, we have access to the phones of our children, and they have access to mine, you see, because we want to build trust. My children can pick up my phone anytime. They can pick up their dad's phone. Oh, dad, you've got a call. So we don't have like, this is adults. This is, in as much as, of course, they respect us and all that. But we also try to break down walls and barriers so that they are, we are approachable, and they can talk to us. Like, our children, we talk freely about sex, for instance, with our children, which maybe in some African cultures is a taboo. We talk about various things. So we've tried to let our children know that we have their best interest at heart. It's not about parental control, because our children need to know. I'm not guiding you because I'm the mother and my word is law. No, the approach is there are sharks out there and we need to protect you. And so they've come to trust that my parents are doing this for the best, for my interest, what is best for me, not because they want to just, muscle in and show that they are the adult. Because most times when you speak to young people, and maybe because I work with young people a lot, they have this feeling that parents just say some things because they want to show they have the power. And I'm like, no, and we as parents need to also bring our children to that place where they know that love is our motivation, not control. And that needs to be, reiterated to our children, where they now feel safe enough to trust our judgments at all times. And these are areas where God has really helped us. Again, I feel that maybe because we are older parents, we've seen, and because, of course, my husband is a pastor, I'm a pastor's wife, we've counseled. So we've used a lot of the things that we have learned to better ourselves and to engage with our children differently. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And my job as host is to pick on the everything you said was wonderful, but there were key points that you made that in the past we haven't shared on the channel, and I feel that one or two parents who have joined the broadcast will benefit from the fact that there's transparency in your home. It's almost unthinkable to have a parent have access to their child's phone, to boldly say that and talk about it as if it's nothing is super encouraging. I love that transparency, and transparency cuts across every other thing that you do. Because if you're that transparent, then the young one has nothing to fear, has nothing to hide, and they would and there's an invitation to impart knowledge on all fronts. Because you don't know, this is what is trending, mommy, and because you don't know, son, there's a scam that's going around that I heard from another parent. So with that open door policy, which we promote on the channel, you find that engagement, the transparency works brilliantly. And I'm glad that you touched on that. And I will urge those who are just joining to, be open and don't start too late. No, not that if you start late it's impossible, but start early on. If you have a younger child, make sure that open door policy is in place very early on. And there are videos that we share on the channel that will help guide you accordingly. So thank you for that long but beautiful perspective. So we're going to go to question 5. And I'm sure you're still alive. Okay, so question 5. We have from your many engagements online and what you generally observe with other families, would you say that parents are internet savvy? Note that I'm not asking whether you are internet savvy. I'm talking about other parents that you have engaged with. Would you say so? Would you say that they're internet savvy? Speak to that if you can.
Okay. I would say no. Like I said, by the grace of God, where God has placed one, we, counsel people, we talk, we engage with people. And especially because I work with young people, then of course I work with their parents indirectly. And I would say no. And these are the things that I try to address as well, especially in the area of transparency, in the area of making parents realize that they need to take this responsibility of parenting over and above just putting food on the table and clothes on the body, but looking after the minds of the young people that God has put in their care, and wanting people to really, really be accountable with raising their children. And one of the things that give me joy, in as much as, my children may be more savvy on the use of the internet, for instance, I remember even with my son that is in university, there are lots of things because of the open door policy that I've been able to, like how to do searches, for instance, that I learned when I was doing my MBA. Because I've had that learning, I've been able to help him with that. And that's what I say to parents. You need to get to understand this. You need to get to understand how young people think so that you can better engage with your children. Like my children, sometimes they're like, who is the mother here? Who is the child? Because I can be at their level at any time. And that's because I want to be in their world. I want to understand. Most especially, what I really want to understand are the pressures on them, so that I can ease that pressure. I can remove the myths and the misconceptions and help them to really, really engage with various tools and resources that are out there. So for me, it's being a caring parent, it's being a concerned parent. And that's what I've been trying to, encourage other parents to be, that you cannot be too busy not to engage with the internet, not to know what is going on. So that, because you see, for my children, and I think one of the things that has also helped the closeness is because they realize that mommy is aware of what's going
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
before they say A, I say, B, C, D. They go, oh, mom, you're always one
Uh,
step ahead.
yeah.
I make it my business. And
Yeah.
again, I said, maybe because I work with young people generally. I have a mentoring group, for instance, for young people where I mentor them on a regular basis. I remember a lot of my friends, I remember when their children graduated, even before mine, got to university, they would send their children to me, go and meet Auntie Morin. She will sort you out, help them with their CV, all of that. And, we become friends, like my children's and my friends' children. And that's what I'm talking about, because I took the time and made the effort to enter into their world. So I know it may not everybody is gifted in that way, but at least for the sake of your children, you can begin to try to learn what's going on, what's trending, so that you can at least tell them what the dangers are, and then they would become aware. They also, because children, young people are very naive. For all they think that 13 going on 30, they're very naive, and a lot of them would be deceived into various things. And I'll give you a very personal example. So and this is also the reason why we need to walk in the spirit, as children of God. It's very important. So my oldest son, for instance, so which is the example I want to give, and it's quite personal, but I think a parent will benefit from this personal experience. So my husband was just walking past and he noticed something. So he said to my son, "What was that I saw on your thing?" And of course, it wasn't a pleasant thing. It wasn't pornography. What happened was he was asking for some help with, how we go on the internet and you type, to do with his coursework anyway. And this person asked him to take a photo of himself, not naked or whatever. He hadn't gone into that, but he could have. Do you see what I mean? And that happened. This is even with us being watchful. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is also with us, with all the guidance and all the things that we have put in place. But this can still happen, you know. And so it took, and we've got many instances where God will alert us to various things, and we're able to nip it in the bud and speak with our children and let them know You may think that is innocent. It is not innocent. These are the things that people are doing behind the scenes, and it could be a danger to your life. You know, and you can imagine if us who are, like we believe
Hands
that
on.
we are so into whatever,
Mm.
and children will be children. Young people will always be young people. But we have to be 2-3 steps ahead to help them to know that this internet is not a very, like I said, there are strangers everywhere,
Yeah.
and strangers who mean you harm. And so you just have to be on your toes. So even us who credit ourselves to be on our toes, watchful, prayerful, you can still have incidences. Then how much more if you are laid back and you are not
Yeah.
even involved at all? So I just want
Mm.
to put that warning out there. I love to be very transparent. I don't want people to think, oh, she's got it all made up. No, we make our mistakes. And we still have issues, that we're dealing with, even with our
Yeah.
children. You see, because the children will always want to push boundaries. That's one thing I have
Right.
discovered. So to now think that you are not making the effort at all, you
Mm.
don't know what your children are exposed to and how you can help them. And I always come from a perspective and a position of helping, guiding, not laying down the law. And it's very important that your children know it is for their interest, because there's this general idea that young people have that older people just want to correct me for the sake of correction. In fact, they don't call it correction, they call it criticism. You are criticizing me, you are judging me. So God needs to give you wisdom so they know that it's not about judging, it's not about criticizing. I always say to my children, the reason why I correct you is because I love you too much to leave you the way you are. I want you
Mm.
to be better. That's the
Yeah.
reason why I'm talking. It's not because I want to nag. It's not because I love the sound of my voice. And so when you give them all of these things, it helps them to calm down, and it helps them to receive that correction and the guidance better. You
Mm.
know, so I hope I answered the
Brilliant.
question.
You did, and I kind of thought you were going to touch briefly on, because that's our next question, but I don't really have time to go to that question because the last question is quite important. But can you speak just in a few seconds? Speak to the benefits of allowing our children to teach us, because a parent is not internet savvy. How does your child, how can your child teach you? Have your African mother hat on, yeah, or African family full stop on, and address that. Should we allow our children teach us?
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. One of the things that I let my children know is that there are lots of things they know that I can learn from.
Mm.
And one of them is how to navigate this internet thing. There are lots of things I'm looking for that my children will just tell me, oh, mom, I think I shared with you when my first son was 7 years old. And I was trying to type in those days when I was still, trying to find my way. And he said, Mom, get up. And he did whatever I wanted to do. I could have been an African parent and said, what is this? But I think God has helped me through the years that I've been very open to learning from my children. And so it has been very easy for me. It hasn't really been a difficult thing. Maybe because also my mom was like that. My mom, she would be with us as young people, that sort of a thing. So I think I had that background. But talking about the typical African parent, because my children don't believe I'm a typical African parent, is that, especially in the area of being vulnerable, not wanting your children to know that you don't know something. Like, for instance, if they have questions, I will say to them, oh, I don't know the answer to that, but we can both discover. And then we will go to the internet together and we will look for it. And I'll say, aha, there you go. Thank you for letting me know that I don't know this. So we can both learn, And there are things that, I'll give you an example. So just like this week, thank God my son didn't go to uni on time. So I got locked out of the cloud. And I was like, oh, what's going to happen? David! So I called my son anyway, and he was able to solve the problem. So he and his father on the phone, they sorted out my problem. And I've had many issues like that. Just before we came on, I was saying to my younger son, please come and sort out this food because I don't understand how it works. And they will do that gladly. I have issues with my laptop. I call them freely. I don't have issues at all, you know, asking my children for help whenever I run into many things because both of them know how the computer works. I don't. I just use it. And when it breaks down, that is it. Somebody help, come and do this for me, you know. So and that's my programs. My boys, they're there. They sort out everything. I just come on like, and people see this perfect. And I'm very quick to tell people, without my boys and my husband, you won't all the things you are seeing. Excuse me, it's down to my boys. And I think it's because of the transparency, the fact that we're so open. It has helped us to gel together as a family. You know, I always tell them that I need their help. I'm always letting them know that I need their help, that there are things they know that will benefit me, that will benefit us as a family. So they've grown up with that, you know, and it's give and take in our home. You know, we just help out. We just help out.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Okay, so I'm not going to overdo that because I think you have nailed it. For the African parents and some parents who are not African, your kids can teach you. Eating humble pie is a beautiful thing in the home. Yes. You know, everyone can level up. Of course, kids should know that parents are parents and vice versa.
Exactly.
But ultimately, when it comes to knowledge and education, it goes two ways. Yeah.
I mean, okay, if I can just quickly say
yes,
I have a friend, and I think I spoke to you about her. She thought, you know, the social media was a beast. Today, she's a social marketing manager.
Oh, wow.
How? Just through her two girls. Her two girls were the ones who introduced her to the world of the internet. And then she got hold of this social media, and now they run a family business. I mean, how, you know, and they take her everywhere. The opportunities she's had interviews on, you know, media outlets have been through her children. She knew nothing. It was because she was guiding her children, wanting to stay one step ahead, that she now got hooked on social media. And now it's her bread and butter.
Oh, wow.
And she's African. She's not, she's African. So her children opened her eyes to the world of social media, and they are using it to earn their living. And the daughter as well has been on BBC and all of that. And she was barring them because they were 12, 13 when they started. And she didn't want them on social media because of all the bias and prejudice. But somehow the children, you have to know when to let go.
That's it.
That's the thing. You have to, because you could have, you know, she could have reacted to say, oh, I'm your mother. I told you not to go on WhatsApp. I've seen WhatsApp on, you know. But somehow, I'm sure maybe God just stepped in that this is the calling for these children. And she said, okay. So she now sat down. Okay, we will do it together. And now they're earning lots of money. And they've been on television. You know, it's open. The girls have won awards. I mean, all because the children taught her social media.
Wow. It is, and these questions are deliberately to almost get the answer. I always suspect that the answer is going to be no, or sorry, rather yes to that question, you know. But it to many parents who are not educated enough, I'm sad to say, it doesn't culturally work. You know, so my duty as the host of the platform is to make sure that mindset is rubbished, you know, respectfully, because having your young ones speak into your lives, no matter how untrendy or unfashionable it is, having a child teach you something you do not know. It's a no-brainer, really. It's a no-brainer, and I thank you.
Can I just say something? Do you know that rather than, because the fear, if we don't allow young people to teach us, is that they will not respect us. But do you know That's what actually makes them respect you. The fact that you can ask for their help. They've been
Yeah.
waiting for you to ask for their help,
Yeah.
like ages. And when they can see that they can give you some assistance,
Excited.
and then
Yeah.
it builds up their own self, what do you call it?
Worth,
Self
self
image,
worth. Yeah.
self worth, and they feel 10 times taller, and they are grateful to you that you've pushed them up.
In their
Because
journey.
what
Yeah.
they get from us most of the time is that we push them down. Oh, you're a child. What do you know? When you now tell them that they know something that is worthwhile, oh my goodness, their self-confidence shoots up, and you will just see them in a different light. And the way they relate to you will be different.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
even rudely, respectfully,
Actually. Yeah.
because you have respected them. Respect, like, as they say, begets respect.
That's it. It's reciprocal. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh wow, we could go on, but we have a last question, and I want you to really give advice. So we're going to go to the last question, and I hope that our audience will benefit from this as we sort of put this to bed. What advice do you have for parents whose experience is different from yours?
Oh, I think the most important advice that I will give to parents is for them to be open. Be open. I remember there's this family. If you're in the UK, you will know them. It's called Imafidon. This family has, I think, all their children are geniuses. And I was reading an interview, and he said that every child can be a genius. And he was talking about how when his children were young, they would break a computer and say they want to put it together. And I asked myself, can I allow that? And I'm still struggling with that question till today. I think unless a prophet comes and tells me that is their calling, I will be very angry. But he was so open to his children to learn that he said he would just come home, they would have broken the computer, and they say they want to put it together. And I'm still struggling with that question. I don't know if I will allow it. And that just talks about, and I don't know if you've heard of them, the Mafidon,
Yeah.
the daughter does the what's this game show. She's the first black on it now. She's a mathematics genius.
Oh,
All his
countdown. Countdown.
Countdown. Yes, it's that
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
All of them are geniuses. Oh, you haven't heard of them? Go and Google them. Imafidon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All of them graduated as teenagers, less than 13.
Wow.
Like I'm telling you, and they're Nigerians, And I was so curious because when she got on to Countdown and I went to read about, he said when they were young, they would just break down the computer. Will I be able to accept that? I don't know. I'm still struggling with that question. So the main advice would be to be open. God has given us these children for us to look after, for us to guide them. Let's not be afraid. You see, one other thing that I was quick to admit to my children was my fear. I remember when my first wanted to stay out long, I said, you see, look, I said, I'm afraid. Let me just be honest with you. It's not because I want to say I'm mother. What is really behind this mother is I am afraid. So can we reach a compromise? Let's work this thing out. Mommy is afraid. Anytime after 7 o'clock, I'm already shaking in my body. Where's my son? I said, you know what is going on in society. So you have to help me. And that helped him to help me. So the decision we made was we will be in touch with each other. Mom, once it's about 7 o'clock, oh, Mom, this is where I am. And, we were able to work something out. We need to be open. We can't say, oh, my parents did this. Look at where I am today. A lot of us were not happy the way our parents handled us. Let's not say we are going to perpetuate that down generations. No. Open your heart. Let God speak to you. Be transparent. Be supportive of your children. There are quite a few things that my children have done that when I speak to people, they say, really? I said, yes, because we prayed as a family. And we are we prayed as a family and we believe, okay, God told us to allow this. And it has proven to be the right decision, over time. But we took that risk. It was a risk, But we said, this is what we believe God is saying. When our children say, oh, this is what we want to do. We don't say yes to everything. That's what I'm trying to say. But we pray. And major decisions that we have done, as God has led us, saying to us, do what this boy wants. It has proven to be the right decision. And so we are learning to, be more open to them, their ideas. And if we're going to say no, we sit them down and explain. We don't just say, no, my word is law. No, we sit down, we explain, we win them over. We don't muscle it. We don't do power and might. No, we don't do control. We explain. By the time we have even finished, I'm sure they'll be thinking, why did we even say we wanted this? You understand? So God has helped us through the years to, bring them alongside us. So everybody feels safe. Everybody feel loved. Nobody feels like, oh, they are infringing on my freedom. They are, young people are always looking for. I've told them freedom is an illusion. Nobody's ever free. But that's another topic for another day. So, bringing them round to your way of thinking is so important. And you are the one that is going to benefit from it, because you will have your hugs. You will have, mommy, I love you. I did my hair yesterday. My son noticed, oh, mom, oh, wow.
Fringe benefits.
Exactly.
And that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
So my main advice would be very open, be transparent, and let love be your motivation all the time. Not anger, not fear, but love.
Let love. Morin, thank you so much. It's been refreshing. Time is not always our friend when it comes to things like this. I'm sure when we started, what will I say in within an hour, and now we want more, but it is awesome. I'm so glad that you've stopped by to be a part of what we're doing.
Thank you.
I honor you and the work that you are doing in your home. I love the fact that you're doing it together with your husband. It is just beautiful to see. My prayer is that as you continue this journey, that many will benefit, like I'm sure they will benefit from this video. I'm glad that you chose to come on. You are busy, so that they know you have another program in the evening. So for you to have accepted this, really, I'm so chuffed. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your spirit. It's so sweet, so sweet. You've been a giver and you're still giving. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you again. Thank you. So I'll transition to speak to the community right now, but thank you. And I know that we will engage on other fronts in the coming. There will be questions that, needless to say, will come. I'm hoping that either they come via the comments, or if they come to me, I'll send them your way, so that as a community we continue to engage. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So it's always very painful to end discussions like we are having to do just now, but at the end of every broadcast, we give you, the viewer, an opportunity to become a part of this family. You do that by subscribing, liking and sharing this video, and being a part in any way or form. You can send comments, you can send emails. We just want you to be a part of this family. So make sure that you're telling your family members, you're telling your friends, and that you're engaging with us. Okay? Until next week, where we do this all over again, releasing videos and answering your questions. I've been your host, Lawrence Idem. God bless and goodbye.